want to talk about something that was done at the state government level yesterday, right now, when it comes to the state budget. And we haven't talked about this for a while because the state budget has been written for the next 2 years to fund education and, take care of our natural resources, our roads, infrastructure, all the things here that make Wisconsin such a great place to live. And we have for a number of years now had a budget surplus once we came out of the pandemic. And again, Wisconsin had a really nice recovery coming out of the pandemic and then had a surplus. Yes, there was a chunk of that was federal pandemic aid, but there was also, because people continued to work in Wisconsin and generate taxes, because we didn't, our unemployment situation was better here than in other states, that also contributed to things. So Governor Tony Evers yesterday put out a press release with an update on the state surplus. And the press release reads in part, Governor Tony Evers today celebrated Wisconsin's continued fiscal success and outlook despite continued national economic uncertainty and volatility. The Evers administration today announced that the state ended the fiscal year back on July 1st with a positive balance of $4.6 billion in the general fund. That would be the state's main checking account. So they ended the year with a $4.5 billion surplus, which exceeded all previous estimates. Additionally, the state's rainy day fund now stands at $2 billion, the largest balance in state history, and more than 6 times what it was prior to the governor taking office. And that should all be, a reason for everybody, Republicans as well as Democrats, to say, yep, let's give ourselves a little pat on the back. Really nice job. Job well done. We don't always agree on things, but let's celebrate the fact that while other states are struggling, we still have a $4.5 billion surplus. But no, that wasn't good enough for State Assembly Representative Jerry O'Connor, Republican of Fond du Lac, who felt the need to put out a press release that said, the $4.6 billion surplus is a result of strong fiscal responsibility by legislative Republicans over the past decade. Contrary to how the governor has misleadingly framed the report, this is not the result of his fiscal planning. If our tax and spend governor had enacted his proposed budgets, we would have a scarily different report and fiscally dire situation to discuss. Well, a statement like that deserves a proper response, and so here it is. Give me a break. You guys needed to be dragged kicking and screaming to support the people whose taxes helped fill those coffers in the first place. You would have been happy to let the surplus money sit there and collect dust until you could do with it what Donald Trump is doing with our federal treasury right now, giving it away to the wealthy in the most reverse Robin Hood style seen in this country since the first Gilded Age. You talk about tax and spend things that Governor Evers would have done. I don't know. Where do you want to start? Should we start with the nearly $2 million you cut for services to homeless veterans? I mean, veterans haven't forgotten how you literally cut that line to $0 and tried to blame anybody else but yourselves. There's also the $0 new dollars in general state school aids. Yes, there was some money put in other specific parts of the education budget, but generally, well, it turns out that the official numbers have come out for Wisconsin's 421 school districts, and only 26% will receive more general state aid this year than the last school year, while 301 districts, 71% of school districts in Wisconsin, are getting less general state aid. And frankly, you had to be dragged kicking and screaming to even that point when you'd rather keep starving our children's education. As a result, we will continue to see more school referendums in Wisconsin hiking property taxes because of this lazy legislature. Don't forget the Child Care Counts program. You killed that as well. Some extra child care money elsewhere in the budget is not going to stop the ongoing wave of child care providers who are getting out of business, forcing more parents into financial or personal crises. There's also the fact that you haven't accepted the federal boost for Medicaid to cover more families. Oh, sure, Donald Trump is gutting it for now, but up to this point, you have cost the state billions of dollars because of your ongoing temper tantrum that the Affordable Care Act passed. It was 15 years ago. Let it go, man. And take care of your constituents who need your help, not your right-wing talking points or your lectures. And then finally, there is that state's rainy day fund, which now stands at $2 billion, which you didn't touch during a pandemic. When COVID was new, when Wisconsinites were losing their jobs left and right, when Governor Evers was trying anything possible to try to make sure that families were supported, y'all took 9 months off, never came into the Capitol, let that rainy day fund just sit there. What good is a rainy day fund for emergencies if you guys decide to take a paid vacation during a national emergency? So no, you don't get to lecture this governor on financial responsibility. It was his shepherding of federal pandemic funds that gave Wisconsin one of the healthiest post-pandemic recoveries in the country, when you would have let Main Street businesses wither and die so long as WMC's members could keep their big, fat corporate tax breaks. So you can put out all the press releases you want, but you will face voters next year under fairer maps who wonder what the heck it is you guys do for a living to earn your taxpayer-funded paycheck. So cash those taxpayer-funded paychecks while you can, because there is no guarantee that after next year, you're going to be around to squander a state surplus any longer.